This episode is brought to you in part by Canderel. Coming soon, a luxury master-planned condominium community rising at the corner of Bathurst and St. Clair. Situated directly on the subway and streetcar line, a monument of architecture and interior design, a timeless expression of glamour and grace. Forêt Forest Hill. Register today at live@forêt.ca. That's live@FORET.ca.
Shalom, welcome to Rivkush, a CJM podcast featuring conversations with Jews of color discussing all things Jewish. Today I am so pleased to welcome Michael Twitty. Our paths cross actually fairly often considering we live in two different countries. He is super cool. So let me tell you a little bit about Michael. Michael is a culinary historian and food writer from the Washington, D.C. area. He blogs at Afroculinaria.com. He's appeared on Bizarre Foods America with Andrew Zimmern, Many Rivers to Cross with Henry Louis Gates, and Taste the Nation with Padma Lakshmi. His book, The Cooking Gene, was released in 2017, and the book traced his ancestry through food from Africa to America and from slavery to freedom. Michael was a finalist for the Kirkus Prize and the Art of Eating Prize, and a third place winner of the Barnes & Noble Discover New Writers Awards for Nonfiction. That was a mouthful. The Cooking Gene also won the 2018 James Beard Award for Best Writing as well as Book of the Year. That made him the first Black author so awarded. Woohoo! His book, Kosher Soul, is the follow-up to The Cooking Gene, and it will be out in August of this year, 2022. And may I encourage you, because I'm doing it myself, I need to know, you need to do this. You need to pre-order the book. You will not be disappointed, and you'll have something to look forward to. You'll be watching out for August when it's released, either in Kindle, hardcover, whatever version it comes in, you need to order it. Michael also has, and this I didn't know, Michael, that you have a hit spice line based on The Cooking Gene, but is part of it, you have your spices, and I think every Black kitchen has that Lawry's,
Yes.
Can't shake that.
Yep.
Oh gosh. So welcome, Michael. This is so cool for me. And, every time we happen to be at the same panel or whatever, I appreciate you. I enjoy speaking with you. I think from the first time I met you many years ago, and it was right before you won the James Beard, and I picked you up at the airport. I think I loved you then. It was like instant. So welcome. So happy to have you here.
Thank you so much.
So I want to turn to something because it's heavy in the air. I can't stop thinking about it. My heart is hurting, and it's what's going on in the United States and the shooting in Buffalo. I don't even know how to process it, Michael. So can you share some of your thoughts on what the heck?
Well, we have the current issue at the Supreme Court over women's choice, etc., is directly tied to a movement on the part of white evangelicals that began right after integration. And the so-called, dissolving and de-evolution of America was not a consequence of Black freedom struggle or a revolution. It was a reaction, a manufactured reaction. And so one of the key points since the late 60s, early 70s has been the so-called Great Replacement theory, which says that, Western societies will fall into chaos if they don't have white majorities. And one of the number one enemies of that white majority system supposedly is a lack of high birth rate among white women. So how do you counter that? You find strategies that reduce black and brown populations and uplift white ones. The shooter, who was only 18 years old, he's still an adult in the system.
I still can't even get over that, eh?
Right.
I still can't even. I
18
can't.
years old. But what I want you to understand is Michael Brown in Ferguson was called a man by the AP.
Right.
This kid was called a boy. I want everybody to understand that. Michael Brown, no matter what they say about who did what and how, didn't kill or hurt nobody. This man did. Even though he's just 18, they talk about the computer and radicalization. I'm so sorry, Rivka, but I grew up in a country where, we were still playing cowboys and Indians. What's the objective of cowboys and Indians? To commit genocide against Native people. Some people might go, oh, that's taking it too far. No, it's not. No,
that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. It isn't the Indians getting after the cowboys. We know exactly what the game, I say in quotation marks, of cowboys and Indians is.
That's right. So from a Jewish perspective, this, of course, does not support mipnei dachei shalom, for people to sort of exist in a world where we excuse that kind of craziness. So we're hurting, but we're also looking at this. This same number of people was killed as in the Tree of Life in Pittsburgh shooting. So the idea here is that when they talk about the Great Replacement theory, the idea is that the Jews, the mysterious Jews, are causing. They're letting the floodgates of non-whites in. They want to use black and brown people to sort of be weaponized against white hegemony, white supremacy. And so this really does put a target on all Jews in North America, on black people, on people of Latin descent, on Muslims, on South Asians, many groups. I haven't even begun to list them all out. We even had recently a situation in Idaho where a state legislature member sponsored a press conference where two known neo-Nazis said that they were going to bring guns to gay pride. And they said the words, if they want a war, we're going to bring the war to them.
Oh, God.
So pray for us and pray for our continued stability, because this is an all-out assault on multicultural North America. Yeah. And they know and they understand that, if we're all gone tomorrow, God forbid, where are they going to get their culture from? Where they going to get their next song from? Where they going to get their next athlete from? Where they going to get their next hot dish that they want to appropriate from?
Yeah.
I mean, the bottom line is, okay, y'all, Jews gave you the weekend, so cut it out. You got to go back to working 7 days a week. No, we taking all the benefits back.
We're everything back.
We're taking the Montreal bagels. Spice. We're taking the spices. There ain't gonna be no Caribbean food. No, all of it's got to go. Broadway's got to go. Musical's got to go. All of it.
You know what? They don't even know the depth of it. Even those things that saves lives called the traffic lights, we're pulling them too.
Yeah,
because an African American invented that. We're pulling that too.
And I happen to know.
So you're all going to be crashing into each other.
I happen to know his granddaughter.
Oh, yeah! Look at that.
She works at a university in Ohio, and Sandra Morgan, and I was like, whoa! And her family still has the prototype in the house.
There you go. And wasn't it a Jewish woman who set it up? An actress. I'm going to get this wrong, but I thought she laid the foundation for Wi-Fi or something like that, or cellular or something like that. There's something. I'll have to look it up because or maybe the audience can look it up and get back to me. But if they took us away, go ahead. See where you go.
We lose so many things.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the hatred is real. Like, somebody was talking to me about it today, just briefly, and I guess I said to her, I was numb. I think I still kind of am, Michael, because part of us too, it's not that we've become I don't want to use the word desensitized, but we're getting used to it happening to us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we're not like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this is happening. It feels more like, oh, it's been a while since the last time. You know what I'm saying? Like and I'm just kind of like, I don't want to say I feel like I don't have hope, but, you know, to those people who say, well, the next generation is different and younger people are different and 18, ain't nothing changing.
Right.
You know, so.
Right. It's not about the old generation dying off and we'll be free. And that's a very grim way to think about it. You know, one of the things that I feel that I've gained from Torah is the idea that, you know, redemption is not a one-stop shop. It's a process. Shuvah is a process. And I think that it's a balancing act between accepting that people can make Shuvah, they can change. And remember, you know, Shuvah is also change a few things, and it's also the word we have to respond, the answer, to reply.
Right.
So the idea is that people can change. People can self-redeem, but it's a very complicated, nuanced process that you really have to. So Emir to Hashem, that people who feel this way, people who feel that need to sort of express their dislike, their distrust, their hatred, especially through violence, but not just violence of act, violence of words. Violence of words. Lashon hara. You know, when I was, you know, it rings in my brain. Lashon hara, lamed hey, go to hell the easy way.
Oh my goodness, I'm never gonna forget that.
Right? Yes. So
easy way.
There it is.
Go to hell the easy. That's why you were like an awesome Hebrew teacher. Things like that.
Yep.
Oh, you know I'm gonna be that. Yeah. I'm using it. Go to hell the easy way. Oh my gosh. So from the vantage point you're at, being in the United States, how, I know it sounds so, but how are people? Because we have our own perspective up here, but we're up here, right?
Right.
You know,
it's tough because, you know, we look at Canada as sort of like the nicer us if we were nicer, or that whole thing. And I know Canadians are definitely less like, well, but you know, I've been to Canada several times and been fortunate to be in your city of Toronto and Vancouver. I actually have Canadian distant cousins because some of my people were like, right after the Civil War, were like, we getting the hell up out of here, and they went to Alberta and British Columbia. Yep, and we're on the plains, and then some of that family went to Toronto, and then I also have a group of really distant cousins that I think ran away from slavery during the Revolution and made it to Nova Scotia.
So what we fondly call Scotians.
Yeah, I have a whole like
you got a bunch of
one side of country to the next side of country kind of thing.
You need to make a trip where you just look for family.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool because I mean, to me, I actually the one question I didn't get answered, and I think it was because there was a little bit of antipathy towards talking to someone who's ostensibly a stranger, and that's me. Was I wanted to know how the food changed. Because I'm just looking at myself, y'all went from Alabama to Alberta. What negotiations, what changes, what stayed the same, what, you know, all of that.
Well, you know, all the spices dropped off. They fell off the border.
It's wild. It's wild. Because, you know, that's exactly what, you know, I work on is how food tells a story. I think a lot of people get kind of frustrated sometimes, and they go, "Oh, well, you know, where's the recipe? Where's the how-to? How can I?" That's not always the story. We are missing the human stories behind food. we're missing the fact that a lot of how we do food tells us stories about each other. Right now, what I'm trying to figure out in answer to your question is how can we rework the food experience so that people understand, no, you can't be a Stephen Miller and go to a gourmet Mexican restaurant in Washington, D.C. and think that that's cool when you're persecuting the people, the very people who this tradition comes from. And we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, Mexican cuisine is older than Jewish cuisine.
I did not know
10,000 years old. I'm even dating it from the time of the domestication of corn. And that's putting it lightly. I mean, we're talking about the squash and the beans were there before. And so all the other crops, and then the number of crops that came out of Mesoamerica, 2/3 of the world's crops came from, Mesoamerica that are grown today. And not just that, but Mexico has an African heritage, a Spanish heritage, a Jewish heritage, a Muslim, an Arab heritage, an indigenous heritage, a mestizo heritage, also influences from the Caribbean, but also from France as well. And so you have these regional cuisines. So we're talking about not reducing people to sort of these bubbles and boxes, and understanding that, okay, if you're so bold as to go to a spot and eat the food, you should be so bold as to understand why these people share humanity with you and you share humanity with them.
Cool. It's funny. You're saying food tells a story. I actually also thought of something else. Hold on. It was in relation to the rice and peas, actually. My obsession. But the first thing that struck me, it's not really in the vein of what you were saying, but it is in the vein of food tells story. There's story behind food, right? That's essentially. And I just thought, as soon as I think of rice and peas, I think of my dad, actually. I think of my dad because he made the best rice and peas. And I associate it with him grating the coconut. I associate it with talking to him like while he's doing that, and the beans and watching the process. And when I think of, and part of me always wishes I could make it as good as he could. My mom made it too, but my dad did it better. And I was always daddy's girl. So,
yes.
So I think of that. So, which is a good thing. Yeah. Wow. So before we started, we touched on something because, your star, I don't even want to say it's rising, but it is. But I already think of you as like up here kind of thing. Like you're my guy. Like I love the fact that when I hear Michael Twitty, I'm like, I know him. I know him. But with that, comes stuff. And I know we were alluding to it, because I'll be honest, I don't hang out much on Twitter anymore because I find it's a cesspool. And it makes me very edgy. And I don't know about you, but I'm getting too old to deal with that kind of BS. But I was just wondering, as you become more and more prominent, doing your TV work, your books, your speaking engagements, all that, do you find it's like a double-edged sword? I don't even know if that's the right term.
Yes.
But is it like,
yes. Yeah, because you know what? People vet you in ways they don't vet other people. I find it incredible that I get it from all sides. With Kosher Soul coming out, of course, I'm bracing myself for a lot of that. Because, okay, so you're black and you're Jewish. So you have black folks who immediately read you as an outpost of a political agenda that they may not agree with. I'm just gonna keep it as open as that. Or that Jewish means white. If you say Jewish, you mean white. But if you say Israelite or Hebrew, you mean black. Or that you may be trying to like sell religion to them, as in you should be a Muslim or you should be Jewish or you should be this or you should be that because that's our original faith or we own this. I don't have any of those things going for me, not at all. And on the other hand, unfortunately, it almost makes me want to cry. The number of people who in the Jewish community and social media, and these are not mainstream people. These are fringe people. I'm going to make that very clear. These are fringe people who, but they're busy. Who they don't want to hear anything about, how I do Jewish or how long I've been Jewish or the fact that I've taught, probably over 1,000 students in the Jewish community that I've lived in and been a part of, or these other, mundane, basic, everyday parts, building blocks. The fact that, I've traveled to Canada and to England, other places, talking about Jewish issues and being Jewish. They don't care. All they want to know is, are you a hardliner? Are you
like
a
hardliner? How?
For Israel? And the thing about it is that I have a very complicated viewpoint that I don't express a lot because I don't want to get into people's nonsense. I love Eretz Israel. I have been there twice. I went on Birthright, and I also went to participate in the Jerusalem Jewish Film Festival. Probably about 10 days at a time for each trip. But I am, of course, stunned at some of the things that we see as well. But I can't, it's very hard for me because I have to talk as a North American. I can't talk as somebody who has some immediate pass to both sides of the Atlantic Ocean. And I say that because I don't live there. I'm not an Israeli. I'm not a Palestinian. I'm not an Israeli Arab. I'm not a Druze. I'm not all these people who have a stake, a dog in the fight.
Right.
But I am frequently asked to condemn Black Lives Matter, which, to me is two different things. It's the statement, it's the organization.
Absolutely.
And I'm not like really educated about the organization, to be honest with you. But it's also asking me to basically people will get in my DMs and say, every time something happens in Medina Israel, they're like, why aren't you saying something? Basically, what good are you?
Yeah.
What good are you if you're a black?
Yeah.
I'm using their kind of mentality, and you're not a cheerleader for what we do. And I'm like, we.
Who's this we?
We. Benenu. Come on now. In the United States, that's far more strong than Canada. Far more strong. It's like it's a test of your loyalty. And I'm just like, wait a minute. Sorry, but I have students who write me and say I still put on tefillin. That's my Jewish goal. I hate to put that to you, but that I've kept Jewish kids Jewish. That's my main goal in life.
That is the ultimate goal.
So what do you want from me? But they don't want to hear about that, and it drives me crazy that I have to pass these purity tests on both sides.
Yeah.
I'll say one more thing, Rivka, and I want you to see if you can respond to this.
Sure.
I've been in these colleges, and I get the last time I was at a college, I was down in New Orleans, and I go to this lunch meet and greet thing that I always have with students of color, especially if they're on primarily white institutions. And I got to tell you, there was this lunch thing, but it was kind of it was so open-ended that the kids kind of the students, I shouldn't say kids, the students kind of got their stuff and sat around and rolled out. They really weren't staying for the thing as they were supposed to. And the person who was leading up the center or whatever, where I was going to do this little lunch and learn talk, she comes and she says, "Oh yeah, oh yes, I know of you. you do the Jewish thing. So she's black, I'm black. And I said, yes, and I'm black first, thank you. I've always been black first.
Do the Jewish thing.
And yeah, and so you know exactly what I read into that, which is you're an other. You're an other. You're not really like us. You're not really one of us. You're not really speaking to anything that we need to pay attention to. Mm-hmm. That's some white people from wherever's stuff. That ain't our stuff. And it really it was such a simple statement, but given the fact that I've been to other campuses where Hillel will invite me and they'll invite Black Student Union or the black groups on campus, and they won't show up. Yeah, they think that I'm there to yeah, they think that I'm there to do talk crud to them, whatever that crud may be, and it hurts. It hurts a lot because one kid in this college in Pennsylvania, there are two brothers, one was from Africa, one was from America. They come to this thing I was doing. It happened to have been in the little shtibel that they had in the community. It was like old 1950s synagogue that was still being used. And it was no religious stuff going on. It was just a friendly dinner. The kids of different colors are there. But the kid gets up and he says, "Well, I got to go." And he says, "Thanks for everything. I got to go." So the other brother leaves with him. And he tells the professor who was sponsoring all this, "I don't feel comfortable here." And I'm like, these are all extremely careful with their words, progressive students. Right. There was no such thing as "you're not welcome here." It was high, smiling faces with open arms. I think the issue was there was an Israeli flag. Of course, it's a synagogue. There's an Israeli flag in their building. And I just thought to myself, what kind of conversation do we need to have that people aren't afraid of flags?
Exactly.
Like, I don't know. You said you've had this experience before.
Well, it's funny that you should say it because I really actually didn't even think about it, really process it until you said that. When you said about Hillel and the Black Student Union, because I did have a presentation where they were presumably co-sponsoring, not presumably, they were, but the Black students didn't really show up. No. And I never really thought about it till you said it. Like, I obviously noticed, but obviously it's a thing.
Yeah, it's a boycott. It's a boycott of these conversations. And here, I will say this as quickly as I can. We had a whole argument about Awkwafina, the comedian. And I told people, I said, y'all are more hot about her speaking with a so-called black accent than you are. We have other serious issues with the Asian American community that we need to work out. But I even put a tweet out saying that, Black Americans and Asian Americans need to have a talk about our mutual histories, our conflicts, our cooperations, and really just have a ongoing dialogue.
100%.
I got so much hate mail for that one tweet. Yes. And this is what they all came down to. One guy said, "How dare you all, it's always someone like you offering an olive branch to the likes of them."
To the likes of them?
Yes. Referring to Asians. And I got like 15 of these. And another person said, I don't need to dialogue with somebody to get them out of anti-blackness. And so I said to her, well, excuse me, but anti-black, you telling me that all X number of East Asian human beings on Earth are naturally anti-black, or that's their default? I said, yes, I know anti-blackness is a huge global problem. But
yes, we know that.
But you are living here in the United States of America. You are living in a multicultural democracy. It is your responsibility to interact with people on the basis of them being a fellow citizen and a fellow human being. And if they have an issue, well, you don't have to mess with them. You can tell them what's what and be gone. But you mean to tell me that if you see an elder Asian American person being beaten up in the street, you're going to cross the street.
Let them be.
And let them be
because they got an issue with anti-black, so to hell with them.
Right. So what happens when it's your turn?
Exactly.
What happens when it's your turn? And so what I feel
Exactly.
like, what I feel like for Jews in this context is that I think people understand that you can punch at certain communities. You can punch. I mean, I basically told about Aquafina, I said, you know, this accent thing doesn't really bother me because I grew up and I still live in proximity. People in my family, Asian Americans, who sound more, I don't know if you want to say black. I mean, of course, with both of us, well, you and me both, we both code switch.
Yes.
When we get agitated
100%.
or we feel very comfortable, you speak patois, I speak AAV.
Yeah, man.
And so I
my
grew up-
patois bad though. My patois bad.
But you know,
But yeah, but I do. I code switch. Yeah.
right. But you know, I grew up with Asian Americans who, when you know, especially the generation that came over when I was younger, which is now 40 years ago, you had choices. You could talk like white TV English. You could maintain your ethnic distinction, or you could sound like the black and brown kids that you grew up around. So her being from Queens, I'm like, Queens wasn't much different from Baltimore or DC or Atlanta, where you average Asian American kid grows up in a regular old neighborhood, they're gonna sound just like I'm talking now.
Exactly.
So what are we doing here? And what it means for us as Jews is this. People always talk about the black-Jewish relationship has gone down, and it has. But here's the thing. If these folks were that willing to say to me, to hell with them, I don't care, no tears lost, well, what does that mean when it's Jews? What's the conversation that's not happening on, because they can feel that might get a certain type of pushback or response. Mm-hmm. It means that it's quiet as it's kept, which means it's a seething, passive aggressive,
right,
anti-Semitism, which
yep.
Which of course for both of us there is that, but then there's also the seething, sometimes passive aggressive, sometimes very open anti-blackness we face from both ends. Yes. So that's why I wrote Kosher Soul, and I really wanted to, to talk about us as people, not as representatives of people's fantasies and imaginations, what they think about what is a black person, what is a Jew. Of course I'm queer as well, so that there's that. I'm the triple threat, right? I
was gonna say, in that way. Okay, so this could sound really weird, but I had this friend, and every time, actually it was a friend and colleague, and every time it was time, to do the Pride Parade and all that, I would say to him, I said, this is the only time of the year that you trump me. Otherwise, because, I said, I got the black thing going, I got the female thing going, I got the Jewish thing going, but this time of year, you trump me. And he's like, I damn right I do. So that's what I thought of. You made me smile when you said that. The threat.
Yeah, it's a threat of, somebody was like, said, when I said this during a tweet or something like that, they said, well, the triple threat of victimhood. I'm like, you hear that and you hear victim. I hear black, gay, and Jewish, and I hear survivor. I hear overcomer. Man. I hear like creator of the culture that you enjoy, whether you hate me or not.
Absolutely.
All of those things. All of those things.
Because you know what, Michael? My mother used to say, 3 strikes. And you can say you got the same thing. You can call it 3 strikes if you wish, right?
Yes.
However, what the second part, the other part of that is you have 3 strikes. So you need to be 3 times better than everyone else. And that is what you strive for. That's right.
I can't imagine if I was a woman. I'm already angry enough about how women's bodies, lives, and choices are being used to manipulate policy, manipulate the world. People's, my sister-in-law had a situation that in the state of Missouri, they would have just said, let her die.
There you go.
So I can't. But if I was a woman, I can't even imagine how much. And I hear, Rabbi Sandra Lawson and other people talk about the experiences of being, Black, queer, Jewish, a woman, and in leadership roles. How the struggle, people push you, people don't let you be your full self instead of them. And I think that goes back to what we were talking about before. Instead of people letting you flourish and be this outstanding opportunity to speak to so many things and bring new things to the world, they want to limit you. And so for me, I'm just like, nah, we're not going to do that. Kosher Soul was really hard to write because it came to fruition during the Trump years, for one. Also, It came to fruition during the year of Black Lives Matter.
Wow.
With George Floyd. And that's
I was going to say George Floyd.
Yeah, international. An international thing. Because we were, all of our communities, Toronto, Washington, London, Berlin, were responding. Paris. Were responding to very similar situations with Black people and law enforcement and being contained in different ways. I mean, not to return to the Buffalo thing, but here's the bottom line. That white boy's still alive. In Grand Rapids,
put it out there.
In Grand Rapids, Michigan, not that long ago, several weeks ago, a Congolese American was stopped by a cop. He freaked out because guess what? Where he comes from, cops are not just. It's a thing.
Yeah, I was in the Ivory Coast and stopped by cops, which are more like military, which kind of make you poop your pants a little.
Yeah, he got shot in the back of the head by the cop, and the video is so clear and so disturbing, and you're thinking to yourself, he didn't have a weapon on him. He never committed a crime. He had never been convicted of a crime. He'd never been in jail. He'd never seen a jail. But this cop basically said, "Pop in the back of the head." I began to bawl immediately. But this kid has his life in front of him. I don't care if it is in a jail cell.
So, Michael, really and truly, the first thing, once you get over the initial, dang, and as sure as the race of the shooter, without even looking, if they were taken in alive, you immediately know their race. Right. And people, I remember when I used to say that out loud, and people would look at me and say, and I say, really? Here you go. Start naming names. I'd start naming, sitting in car, reading books, and I said, no weapon visible, no this, shot dead. I said, somebody who is with the excuse was, I feared for my life. Yet somebody actively with a weapon, clear danger. And they're taken in alive. If it's him, because I don't want to give their names air. This dude, the guy who the church shooting, the guy recently with the protests and feared for his life, taken in with his weapon intact. Like, don't feed me that stuff. Don't tell me it's not a pattern. Don't tell me subconscious, unconscious, bias. I don't care what you want to call it.
Right.
I call it fact.
Yeah, it's like we don't understand that these people can push back against systemic racism and implicit bias. It's not going to make it not a thing. It's not going to make it a lie, and that's the bottom line that we should.
Because you're right, people do. They double down on that issue. They double down on it and try and say, yeah, but, and I'm just like,
do you know why though? Do you know why? It's because they have been taught by a renewed vigor among right-wing extremists that their power and their privilege as white folks to say, it's like these stories I would read from the time of slavery in America. And the worst ones are when a young person discovers that they are considered less than, they are not equals. And oftentimes the story will involve a plain fact, Like there are four cows, or the sky is blue, or something like that, and they're being told no, there's two, and then they get violent reaction, and then they go, what the hell just happened to me? Why are you hurting me? Why are you abusing me? Why are you telling me that what I'm seeing is not reality? Why are you we would say gaslighting. Why are you gaslighting me?
Gaslight, yeah.
Because I can, and I will, and I will do whatever it takes, to put you in your place and to preserve the future for my children over you, because you don't matter. Don't you understand? And until you confess that you are less than me, well, that's the thing I will not do. I will not confess that, because if I confess that, why did God make me a human?
Yeah.
My Adam is not better than your Adam, and your Adam is not better than my Adam. And if that is not the way we think, that is the real Torah, true Judaism. The idea that, what we have in this imperfect, ever perfecting, ladder climbing, scaling version of Jewish ethics and morals. One of the things that I do at the very beginning of the book is I tackle Mashene Habriot, the blessing over differences. And the fact that some of the translations into English in the 50s, 60s, and 70s would say things like, if you see a hunchback, if you see a dwarf, if you see an albino, if you see an African or a Negro or a black. So wait a minute, hold up. Well, if you see a Negro, so I actually went into this.
Sorry.
And
sorry.
Right? So but people confront that text or other texts that are very problematic. And so first of all, the fact that in Judaism we can do that. And we do that. But also the idea that, Shais Rishon, Rabbi Shais, he said to me, well, you don't have to translate this as a Negro, an African, or a black. You can translate this as someone, if it says albinism, then there's melanism. We don't have melanism. We're just, of African descent. We have melanin. Right. That's all there is to it. But the people who are translating that text are obviously showing their bias 100%. In how they see the world. And so they're othering a black person, whereas we both know that they're Jews of all colors, but especially black and brown, especially before the Roman times.
Yeah, not only are they othering, and correct me if I'm wrong, it also feels like they're kind of putting us not just as others, but a pitiful other. Like, feel bad for these people because they're not as good as us.
Well, that's also the context of this particular bracha, because it basically is like this. If you see somebody who is deformed, or you see someone who is, one translation says the word retard. And I'm just like, of course, to us, that's stunning. But in the language of 1960, whatever, even using that was considered respectful.
Yes.
Against saying
words.
Mongo, right?
It just meant
or
slow.
Other terms.
Yes.
Slow. And someone who was mentally of a certain mental speed. But also including people who for whom that's not true. It's not about mental speed. It's just the fact that the way they're received by society. I say that to say that the whole bracha is there because it's about pity.
Pity.
It's about going from pity to lifting up God's name because God knows best. But that's the thing. The chapter is called "A Blessing on Strange Creatures." How do I bless myself? Do I have to look in the mirror and say the phrase?
See yourself as a strange creature.
Creature, right? Do I do that, or
see yourself as a strange creature? Okay, so there are some days I'm looking pretty raggedy, but I still wouldn't say I'm a strange creature.
and that word creature, right?
Creature.
That's fighting words.
You know it.
So I mean, it goes. I guess I should go to the food part real quick because people get mad at me.
Yeah, you know what's? I'm gonna get the comments. Excuse me, but I thought it was supposed to be about food.
I had a knockdown drag out with somebody. I did a thing for the Israeli embassy, virtual, and someone got really hot in the Q&A and was really hammering on that exact thing because we were talking about, the person interviewing me was really great, but she was willing to talk about issues of appropriation, issues of, access, etc. And it was just like, I came here for him to teach me some skills I can steal, right? And I'm
Some
like,
recipes.
Honey, I'll put it right back on him. And I was like, nah. I was like, yes, I mean, I can write about that. But what I want people to understand is the 60 plus recipes that are in this book, which I never intended to be a Bible of Black Jewish cooking. I'm not even sure necessarily that I could do that without being extremely arrogant, because there's so many different Black Jewish voices, Ugandan ones and Canadian ones and British ones and South African ones, Caribbean ones, and I don't think that there's no way that I could, I wanted to do that originally, but I was like, there are so many histories and so many stories and so many complications that I can't do it justice. And still, I want to talk about my own journey and journeys like yours, and talk about different people's roots and how they fit into this matrix. And it's, like I said before, it was so hard to write this book because I'm in the middle of all this social Sturm und Drang, and you don't just kind of like scrape off the other parts to get to the good stuff. It's not like, eating burnt toast, right? It doesn't matter how much butter you put on it and how much jam, it's still burnt toast.
Burnt. Still nasty.
Still nasty. So what you got to do is look at it and go, okay, I can't tell all the stories, but I can definitely tell my story. And I can definitely give people an insight into what this means with people of color in particular. I think people need to understand something. As people of color in Western societies where we're not the majority, the kitchen is a special place of healing and communication. It's where we go to that kitchen table with all of our joys, successes, but also our hurts, our failures, and our struggles. And we use that space to tell each other stories about where we've been and where we're going to go. And I would be remiss if I sat up there and said, well, I'm going to give you everything but the burnt. Everything but the burnt. I'm going to scrape it off for you a little bit to clean it up. But I'm not going to give you the burnt, and you'll never know that it existed. So I want people to really hear that. Right?
The burnt toast.
Right? Listen, I want people to really think about what it would be like if we presented, say, for example, Eastern European Jewish history as the Shoah never happened. The pogroms never happened. The Crusades never happened. The Romans never happened.
You can't separate it.
No.
It's impossible.
No, but why should we separate it? To make people feel good or feel better when they can just feel appreciation for how much it took to get these recipes to the table and to have a conversation with each other about their human story. That's all I want to do. I want us to be normalized. I want the fact that we walk in the door with things people have said to us, experiences we've had. I do talk a lot about some positive experiences that I've had. And I do give the community a lot of credit for, being an alternative space. I'll put it like this, an alternative space of embrace. Mm-hmm. It's very different. I don't think people understand what it's like when you have those moments where you're just like, you walk in and you're already anticipating Drek, and what you get is this, hey, you need a ride somewhere? What? Strange white lady can give me a ride? What? For real? And she drops me to the synagogue and says,
she didn't just clutch her purse and run to the other side?
Or when, there was a group of Mizrahim from Israel. They were there were a lot of the community in Maryland, and so they see me out in the rain getting drenched, and they see the kippah and the tzitzis, and they were not religious, and they opened the door and said, "Get in, come on with us." And it's amazing.
It's those moments.
It's those moments that give you this understanding that yes, the world can be hostile, but guess what? The world can also be a place where you can find mishpacha.
Absolutely. And I think I so hear what you're saying, because often too we get sucked into, I like to call it the good, the bad, and the ugly. And there are so many times that we do get caught up and sucked into what is bad, what is ugly, about navigating through the community, etc., and not recognizing moments like the white lady who, in the car, or recognizing, that I had some of the best moments in Israel, recognizing I have great moments here where the community has embraced me and protected me. And, it's more than just that experience or that experience.
It's more than just the traumas.
Exactly. And that's really important, because if you do forget that, then in some ways you end up wallowing in the trauma.
Right.
If that makes any sense, right?
Right. And the recipes are part of the joy process. One person I know, Native American, said to me that the antidote to the traumas of our ancestors is taking joy in our culture. And so for me, I want to give a shout out to Rivka, because Rivka's Jamaican rice and peas has a starring role in the recipe section. And it's just like, I think I quote you somewhere else talking about, having bami for the the Caribbean Seder plate, etc. And I'm just, like I said, I want people to use my writing, my work as a blueprint for their own sort of exploration. I mean, I did a whole masterclass on this, but I want anybody of any background to be able to say, okay, the creative pieces are in my hands. So, the big question for us is, how do we not other black food as Jewish food? Well, we cook it, we serve it, we eat it, we share it, we talk about, I think a crock pot of rice and peas is maybe our chillent. It's being able to see that so many of these things have, we can turn them into elements. I just
absolutely
donated,
oxtail. Make some oxtail stew.
Right
there it is.
Right there it is
in the slow cooker.
And there and of course what people don't understand is, I should probably say this to you before we run out of time, is that when I do the chapters where it talks about the evolution of Kosher Soul on American shores, I have to talk about the Caribbean and the complexities there. And so, like, people don't think about Escovitch and other stuff that has these roots in both diasporas. Yeah. And it's very deep, because, like, in Suriname, like, they still use the word treif. Treif. They say treif. They chop treif. So there's all these understandings that we have. So where does that come from? What is this? I mean, we're talking about Brazil, Cuba, Suriname, Jamaica, Trinidad, Tobago, Barbados, all these stories, and then some of these stories get brought to the American South and beyond. And so I ask questions like, all right, if you were enslaved and you were working for a Jewish merchant in Norfolk, Virginia, which actually happened, how do you navigate kashrut? So, for example, he buys crabs and oysters for the servants, which tells you he's at that point in his family's generations, they're keeping kosher in the kitchen, but the other food is for the black folks.
Right. Okay.
Yes. So in Suriname, they were calling that blackfish. Shrimp and crab and oyster were called black people's fish. And they called it a bukra fish the kosher fish. So it's right? Isn't that fascinating? Because but the thing about it is, we don't have volumes of people's lives. That's what I said before. It's not just the recipe, guys. It's the story behind people's lives. So the very fact that I don't have that we don't have that, means that I have to now take, as a scholar of food history, the little bits and pieces, take everything that we know, and try to reconstruct that mosaic so that we can actually begin to see a picture, the outline of what was once a lived everyday experience. And of course, your recipe and others are a part of the contemporary part where we talk about how, Tikva in Baltimore makes kosher crab cakes, using salmon and kosher surimi and other stuff and a lot of Old Bay.
Right.
And how so-and-so, I talked to white Protestant converts to Judaism from the South. And it was fascinating to me was how black Jewish folks of different backgrounds, these white converts to Judaism from Southern evangelical religion, and black Muslim chefs all had the same sort of questions and interactions around food, and also were all dedicated to maintaining those deep cultural links. And so I'm just like, y'all are sitting around looking for what brings us together, what binds us, what gives us common ground. And I'm just looking at it going, wow, the white folks in the South, the black Muslims, and the black Jews have the same sort of thing going on.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Wow.
We family, we cousins.
Yeah.
I hate to burst your bubble, because, I'm a 1/16 Trini, but we can't all be perfect.
I love it. Because remember when you found out that, and I was like, dang, I was hoping it would have come out Jamaican.
You were like one of
Trini.
20 people who were just like, Team Trini, why not Team Jamaica?
Team Jamaica man. Team Trini. Team Jamaica man. Cha. Cha.
I never thought about that. In Patois, cha. In PG in Jamaica, in Nigeria, che.
Che.
There's like everything. Che.
Yeah. Jamaicans. Cha man.
Yep. Wow.
Even though I'm kind of a Jamaican, I still hang on to some stuff. Yep. I'm still reflecting on our code switching. Man. Because not too many people get it. I had to explain it the other day to someone. I had to explain what code switching was. And I said, we do it. You don't even know that I do it because I present a certain way when I'm with you. You know what I mean? I was saying to this person, so you don't know.
And sometimes I say think of it this way. The old 1950s thing about being a Jew at home with a man on the street.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's funny, we're recording this. Turn off the recording. We switch back.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's interesting. And we do it so intuitively, and it's something that I remember of always having done. I can't remember not doing that. My kids do it because I guess instinctively they pick it up and they know we got to do this. But I love the fact, I'm going to switch tacks again. I just love what you do. And just bringing a different element to food. Making it more than just something that I eat, something that keeps me from not being hungry or keeps me from not passing out.
Right.
And just really recognizing how much there is about food. Because I think to some degree we get it, but we don't really get it. And you're showing us, teaching us, guiding us, and you're continuing to build up our knowledge around food and food history and how much it means as people and the tie-in with that. Right. And I think that I can't wait not just because my name's in the book. Okay, that's part of it. But I can't. I have no shame. I can't. I can't wait. I can't wait for the book. And the title, I think I've known you not just as Michael Twitty, but I think I've known you as Kosher Soul forever. Right. So it's great that it feels like, I don't feel like you didn't use like that Kosher Soul, the name was gone, but I feel like it's revitalized again. So I think it's awesome.
Well, remember, it almost got stolen from me.
Well,
way back when, because there was.
You need to spill.
Yeah, there was a reality show.
Oh, that's right.
Right, Kosher Soul, the reason why we were so incensed was because it was obviously exploitative. It was some brother who was in the music scene, and they loved it. They just salivated over those moments where he encountered Jewish practice and said dumb things, or looked like he'd never heard of. And I'm just like, y'all, this is not the history. This is not the experience. Step and fetch it kind of stuff. Exactly. It was very coonish. It was very Tomish. It wasn't. And then of course she for her part was the quintessential Jewish American princess archetype. And it just looked like there was a whole thing about him passing out to get his Hadafat Dumbreet. Distasteful. And I'm just like, this isn't cool. This isn't cool at all. It isn't warm and funny and nice. And by the way, not one Jew of color was on anything that I saw. I think the show disbanded after 3-4 episodes.
Because I remember it as a blink. You had to remind me about it.
Right. But they totally like nabbed it. Reminded everybody, trademark your stuff.
Yes, man. Because when I think Kosher Soul, I think you.
Right.
And I should. And you can't have anybody muddying it up with their crap.
Right, their nonsense.
So, yeah.
So we have so many stories left to tell, and that's one thing I want to just impress upon everybody is that just because someone like me has done a book like this or project like this, does not mean in any way, shape, or form that you cannot do your own. We have so many stories to tell, so many voices to amplify. Please do not wait on ceremony. Find a way, book, album, podcast, whatever the product may be. Graphic novel, I don't care what it is, song. Find a way to tell you and your people's story in a way that will be unforgettable. Do it now. Don't wait on ceremony. Do it.
Oh, on that note, thank you so much, Michael.
No, thank you. You've always been a light.
You're my guy. I'm telling you. Huge soft spot for you. Like, I think of you as like my brother, and I need to see you again. So now that the borders are opened up, and I think I still have some Porter Airline points, so maybe I need to use them. And this time I come to you.
Heard that. But also, I have a strong intention to come back to Toronto this year. So I will let you know when, and we're going to make it happen. But either way, you're always welcome here. You're always welcome here at my lovely southern home.
Oh, thank you. I'm gonna take you up on it.
Yes,
and then you might have to you might be like, she ain't leaving. How do I get her out? Well, thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Oh gosh. Yeah, we'll touch base again.
Absolutely. Shalom.
Thanks for listening to Rivkush. Our producer is Michael Freeman. Music by Westside Gravy, and I am Rivkush. If you enjoyed this podcast, you can hear more at thecjn.ca/Rivkush and support us by subscribing. If you want to support the CJN, join the CJN Circle. You get quarterly magazines, invitations to live events, and a weekly printable edition. Learn more at thecjn.ca/circle. Thanks for listening.